Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt Roast here with Jessica Bun Bun. This is our House of the Dragon Season 2, Episode 3 preview. Are you ready for stuff to go down, guys? Okay, here's the reality check, though. I remember looking at the preview for Episode 2 and being like, oh, it's about to go down. And then the only thing that really went down were with the two twins. So I don't want to sit here and say for sure that we are going full Dance of Dragons in this episode, but it feels based on the promo that there's a pretty good chance.
Aegon wants revenge. I understand
Yeah.
entirely. I think many parents out there would understand. Let's get revenge. It's really the only way at this point for him. He doesn't have another mode right now. He's so deep into his grief and his guilt of, allowing this to happen in his house as king, as husband, as father.
Mhm.
Like, he's such a young guy. There's one road for him, and it's revenge.
Well, we're going to set the stage for this episode, and we're going to talk a lot about specific characters as well who could be potential X factors, people to
Mhm.
watch, people to be excited about. But of course, before we go headfirst into all of this, smash that like button and subscribe for more House of the Dragon coverage through the rest of this season. We already have a review for episode 2 that
Mhm.
is in the description. We highly suggest you check that out as well.
Yeah. Also, you can get more House of the Dragon discussion over at our Patreon. We'll have a
Mhm.
link for you below. It's a great way to help support the channel and get more discussion on House of the Dragon.
Okay, so the first person that we really need to watch out for entering this episode, and fitting here, Team Black, black shirt, black banner, Damon. I want to call you my guy, Damon, but I can't really call you my guy after you threw a hissy fit on this past episode and tried to claim no responsibility for what it is that you did to the
Oh
point
yeah, that's
where
that's the reason why you can't claim him
okay,
right
he
now.
also may have destroyed an heir to the throne, but and he also, let's not forget about everything with Rhaenyra, that incident at the end of season 1. Like, I still think that is going to come back and play a bigger role moving forward. It's just with everything going on, they haven't had a lot of time to really deal with that. You saw a little bit more of his anger in this past episode. The situation that Rhaenyra is in when it comes to Daemon is complicated
Mhm.
because she has no real reason to want to have this guy around right now because he is impulsive, reckless. He still desires to be king somewhere deep down. There are so many problems. However, and I say this with this full cringe, she also needs him. If everything is going to hit the fan here, he is a very capable dragon rider. He has a
Mhm.
dragon, which is extremely valuable. He also has a lot of experience in battles. We saw this with the white flag incident. He
Mhm.
is one of the most important people that exists on Team Black. So moving into episode 3, I think she needs to figure out, one, is Damon going to come around on his own? And two, if not, is there someone I can send to go and find him and talk him down and tell him to act like an adult, please?
Yeah, I mean, everything you said is true. He's the most capable
Yes.
warrior here. She does need him to be there. He can be a great strategist as well,
Mhm.
but the problem is that her strategy and his strategy do not meet up, and she's trying to be a very different ruler than the type of ruler that Damon wants to be. But he's not the ruler, so it doesn't really
Yeah.
matter what Damon wants. Either he is there to support her or he's not there to support her, and he's in a timeout right now, off doing
Yes.
whatever he's doing. Will he come back? Yeah, I think he's going to come back. He's going to figure it out. I mean, one of the things Rhaenyra said in this last episode is basically she's the pathway to him getting close to that throne in any
Mhm.
kind of way. Without her, he's never going to end up being there. So he's got to come back. It's something that's been sitting inside of him for so long. He wants to be there.
Now, we see in the promo for this episode that the big Team Black strategy right now seems to just be, okay, we're just going to have as many dragons as possible. We're going to go full dragon here, which
Yeah.
on paper sounds like a great idea, but this is a question for you guys. Is having the most dragons really the most valuable thing? Because here's the deal. Yes, it sounds great. Go ahead, get as many of them as possible, and maybe you can rule by fear to a certain extent. But the moment something bad happens to a couple of those dragons, you don't really have much in the way of allied support. Like Rhaenyra's name has been dragged through the mud for something that she technically did not do. Daemon went and did all of this. She's just stuck in a terrible position. So she doesn't really have any social currency beyond the dragons, which is why to
Hmm.
me, you gotta find a way to fix this Rhaenyra, and it's not going to be easy. Just go send Jace. He seems like a likable enough guy. He got along fine with Craig, and maybe he can figure something out.
I mean, the problem is she's the figurehead, right? So it doesn't matter that Damon did this. It doesn't matter who did this. Someone on her team did it. She's going to end up having to take responsibility for those actions. It's the way that that's the way that it is. It's what happens when you're ruling, right? But I mean, the biggest question is, like, do more dragons really equal a win? Not necessarily. You have to have experienced riders with them. So while they've talked about, like, oh, there's these unclaimed dragons and this and
Yeah.
that, whatever, okay, well, you still need people to be able to ride them. I mean, going back to the Aemon and Luke dragon fight, they both were skilled enough to be able to ride them, but they weren't skilled enough to be able to control them. I mean, Luke's dragon, breathed fire on Aemon's, and then Aemon's went out of control and ate the other one. Like,
Yes.
neither boy had control over their dragons. So, yeah, you can have a lot of dragons, but if you don't have experienced riders and fighters with the dragons, then it doesn't matter.
Okay, I'm gonna put on my tinfoil hat here for a moment because I
Okay.
have a theory that may lead to a lot of people doing that Jon Snow meme where he's like pulling the sword out in the army, like charging at him. Like that may happen from book readers here. Listen, I've not read that far ahead. I'm trying
Mhm.
to live in the moment here, but I just was thinking a lot about this with Otto Hightower here, your guy, member of Team Green, Otto, who is coming off the high of his best episode on the show, but ironically, it's also his worst episode for him as a person because he's basically been shipped off to Old Town. But
You lost your job. You don't mouth off to the king.
okay, you know what? He is very practical, and I think some of his ideas were actually good ideas. I just think the problem was he's speaking to somebody who was understandably very emotional, and Otto
Yes.
had no sort of way to communicate with him on that level. But
Yes.
clearly, he's not somebody who's thinking a lot in terms of emotion. I think it's possible that Otto could try to have Aegon killed, and it may sound crazy because this is family, but this is also a very brutal world, and I think Otto knows on some level here that Aemond would be a much better king than Aegon. I mean,
Hmm.
Aemon, it's not really saying much here. I'm Team Black, so I'm not going to give any of these people on Team Green that much credit. But basically, you have Aegon, who is just juggling chainsaws at this point. One of these moments,
Hmm.
the chainsaws are going to come down. At least Aemond, I feel comfortable enough to do that. He can handle the position, so why not try to make the realm a little bit more stable? The problem is if you get caught doing this, really bad things are going to happen. Really, really bad things.
Yeah, I mean, killing your own grandchild, I mean, is that something that Otto is capable of? Sure, if it can shore up his own position. I mean, he has no position right now. He's, no longer the hand of the king, but would Aemond put him back in that position? Possibly. I mean, Aemond is more of a strategist than Aegon is. Aegon really does need people around him to help guide him through being king because doesn't have any experience and he wasn't trained to be king, where Aemond has done all his studies and, learned sword fighting and is capable in a lot of other ways to be king because he was kind of like, I know I'm the second son and I'm never going to have that position, but you never know, just in case, this is
Yeah.
something I really want and I think I could be really good at it. So I might as well just learn how to do it because you never know in this world.
Aemond is a much better candidate in this position than Daemon was in his position with Viserys. Like, I actually feel like Aemond meets a lot of the qualifications and is not going to go power hungry or crazy or anything else. But the next person I'm really watching out for entering this episode, it has to be Alicent. I think Alicent is in a really, really fascinating place. Like, Team Green aside, I've always really liked this character, but she's now in this spot where her father has been sent away.
Mhm.
She is in a extremely delicate place where she doesn't have very much influence at this point. Aegon has no incentive to listen to her, but based on what we know about Alicent, I don't think that the rest of her season is going to be just her like sitting idly by and hooking up with Kristen Cole and not doing anything else. I think we're going to see the wheels start to turn a little bit. And with her father now gone, she's going to inherit some of that strategy and try to find a way either to subtly shift Aegon or lean more on Aemond and try to have him become more of a ruler for the actual people out there, whereas Aegon's just going to sit around in King's Landing thinking he's doing stuff when really he's not.
I think Alicent is going to have a lot more power now that Sir Kristen is the hand of the king. That's the person that she's with, and she has a lot of influence over him. Otto is gone, which actually helps her a lot as well. We saw earlier that she was basically like, stop putting me down in front of the council. Like, you're making it that I can't have any influence or any like relationship with my sons to be able to sort of have them listen to me. And if they don't listen to me, that can be a problem down the road. They need to be able to listen to all of us, not just you. Because if you're not here, now it's chaos. But she's in a very interesting, more powerful position, I think, because Sir Kristen is now the hand of the king. I can barely get that out without laughing. It's such a joke. But it could end up that she's really the hand of the king because she has so much control over Kristen that she could control him and he can help Aegon. It just depends.
This is what I really do like about this show, and especially this season. I think at the center of all of this, and there's a lot of chaos, there's 2 million characters, but you have Rhaenyra and you have Alicent, these two people who were once friends, who still are both pretty reasonable, who have gone through a lot, but they're still in their own way trying to work to figure this out. You're totally right. Alicent does have a lot of influence potentially on Sir Kristen, and on the flip side, Rhaenyra realizes now, especially after the twin throwdown, that she has to be proactive. She has to be the person to make the next move at this point because she has to figure out what to do on the other side of all of this. So this is going to be a very big episode for her when it comes to trying to figure out how to properly respond to all of this without losing everything, without everybody just dying left and right, because that seems like a reasonable scenario that could unfold from here.
Yeah, I mean, Aegon said in the preview he wants revenge. That's all he wants. I understand. He's a parent that lost his son on his watch in his house while he was sleeping. This is something that he's not going to just get past. He wants someone to pay for it. And even though we saw in this past episode, all the rat catchers were all killed off, like the people who were directly responsible, who actually did this, they're gone. But then we saw him still after that. There's no relief for him. He's still like sobbing uncontrollably by himself in this like pit of loneliness and despair. It didn't actually give him what I think he thought it was going to give him, which was like a little bit of relief. He just wants more and more and more. Everybody got to pay for it.
All right, I got one last tinfoil hat entering this episode. I know the person who is gonna
tinfoil.
Yeah, there's a lot of tinfoil here, guys. I know the person who's gonna help talk Daemon down, and it is my beloved Rhaenys, who you understand better than anyone what it is like not getting to be in charge, even though you thought you were going to be in charge. Yes, you have also shown that you are more than capable of being awesome in the greatest ways imaginable. I also just really like you and root for you. I root for Corlys as well. You can be the person who can actually get through to Daemon and realize that you can have a lot of influence, even if you are not king. If he can just wrap his head around that, he could be the most formidable character on this show when it comes to his charisma, when it comes to his ability in battle. He just has to accept it. Rhaenys, the ball is in your court. You're not going to be spending the rest of the season in bed with, Corlys. I'm sorry. There's other pressing matters that need to be attended to.
Can we just all agree that Rhaenys should just be the person on the throne? She'd be such a perfect 10 out of 10 queen.
Team Green and Team Black can both agree Rhaenys should be in charge, but
she should be in charge.
Here's the real message of the extended Game of Thrones universe, everyone. We don't get what we want, so we just have to sit around and be sad that everybody is gonna probably go. But that is our preview for House of the Dragon Season 2, Episode 3. We will have a review up here at the channel after it is done, so hit that subscribe button, smash that like button as well, and you can support us further by joining our Patreon. We have more House of the Dragon content there. Link is in the description. Thank you to our patrons, and we will see you here next time.